She's cute, she's funny, she loves to talk, and this is her show you're about to watch. Madison, that's her name, Madison. Madison, the Madison Show's about to begin.
We're live on the Madison Show. Okay, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and a fun fact about yourself.
Fun fact, oh God. Okay, hi, I'm Lisi Levy, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and a fun fact about me is, I was about to say that I was supposed to be in London studying abroad right now, but that's not fun, that's like depressing. So I'll say, my fun fact is that I'm half Argentinian.
Ooh, spicy.
That's me. Spicy Lisi.
Oh, okay, well, let's just jump right in. So, obviously, we're stuck in our homes right now. I know that there's, talk about being creative and not being creative and resting and all that stuff. So, what are your thoughts about that?
That's a good question. So, I have gone back and forth on this, and so, basically, after London, I was in quarantine in an Airbnb for 2 weeks, which I think you know.
Yes.
You don't know. And so, I just should acknowledge the privilege of being able to have somewhere to quarantine away from my family to make sure that they stay healthy.
Yes.
I'm at my house now. But so that 2 weeks of quarantine was basically like the time when everybody was like, use this time to be creative. And they were like, Shakespeare wrote King Lear when, I don't remember what, but you saw that, right? They were like, when a pandemic hit, when the Black Plague hit, Shakespeare wrote King Lear. I was like, all right, I want to go to bed all the time.
Yeah.
And so during those 2 weeks was really the time that I was just kind of like not feeling like doing anything and being creative. And I kind of did that, and now I'm back home. And yesterday morning I woke up and I just had like this spurt of energy. And since I've been home, also like basically my closets are a problem. They're a problem. So I've decided that I really have no more excuses and that I'm ready to fix the closet problem. So I guess that I say, if you feel like being creative, be creative, but if you're having a down day, have your down day. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have a down week, if you have a down 2 weeks, that's cool. But also, sometimes I think just getting yourself out of bed and like doing something to make you feel productive, even if it wasn't like just like a tiny dent. Like I literally just detangled some jewelry and I was like, wow, productivity, you know? But I have been doing yoga. If we're gonna talk about creativity and like,
yeah, what have you been doing during this time? Like any new things?
Well, okay. So reading is something that I really wish that I did more, because when I was a kid, I was like definitely a reader. You know how like everybody's like, who reads anymore? But like when I was a kid, I was a nerd and I read a lot. And so I've been feeling sad that I'm not that person anymore. So I have been reading and I've been forcing myself to bring that back as like a habit. So I've been doing it before bed, and like it helps that the book that I'm reading, it's called Love Warrior by Glennon Doyle. Everybody's talking about Glennon Doyle and her new book Untamed. So shout out to Glennon Doyle. But I've been reading that and I've been really enjoying it. So it's not like hard to do when you're enjoying it, but I don't know, I find that I like memoirs more than I can get through those easier than fiction, and I don't know why. I think it's just because I'm a people person.
Yeah.
And so when I'm getting to know a real person, I'm like, oh my god, this is my friend. Or a fictional character, they just like lead me on and then they dash my hopes by making something bad happen in the book. You know what I mean? So I've been painting. Wait, do you want to see my paintings?
Do you want to see your paintings?
Okay. Wait, they're right here. But I have some, I'm gonna collage next, so I'm moving all of the, I'm bumping into my chair. I'm back with my paintings. Okay. Next is a collage, so I have a bunch of cutouts from basically, my mom bought me a bunch of, this is funny, a bunch of magazines with Saoirse Ronan, Greta Gerwig, or Timothy Chalamet in them because she knows how much I love them. And so that's basically the only pictures I've cut out. This was my first piece of quarantine art.
I love it.
I made this when I watched the movie Moonlight, which, like, I'm honestly ashamed to admit that I hadn't seen it up until.
I haven't seen it, but everyone keeps talking about it.
It's not like a movie that I want to watch again because it was like fun and light, but I think I need to watch it again to really like form an opinion about it. But I understand why it was a big deal when it came out. It's great. So here's the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Timothée Chalamet, here's my second piece of quarantine art that I made while
That is so cute.
watching the iconic movie Call Me by Your Name.
Oh, I love it.
You know, if you know, you know, you know.
I love it.
This was 2 days ago. Me and my mom painted on her last day of spring break, and we painted while watching Finding Dory, and so I painted koi fish, and this one turned out really good. Like the curve, I was really happy, and then I realized that I kind of left an uneven amount of space, so he's just all over the place. First, I'd like to point out that his fins are going, like, pushing back the water.
They're cute.
Whereas these fins, I realized that I put them the wrong way, like this, like he was swimming like this rather than this. And so, right, and so I had to, like, do some creative fixing. And he also almost went off the page, so this one is, like, barely there. But, you know.
I like it.
This is gonna qualify as one of those. You could also do it this way. Honestly, I was trying to do an up and down because these two are horizontal, but I think it looks better as a horizontal painting.
Yeah.
This qualifies as one of those paintings that I leave at home and hang up in my room at home. You know what I mean? Like I like it enough to keep it.
Yeah, like not
paint, but not enough to bring to school with me. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a really long-winded answer to your question about productivity and creativity.
No, I loved it.
So
you gave me a little spice about what you're doing right now, which is what I was gonna ask you anyway. So
I will also say just about this whole time is that, like, everybody's like, I have all this free time, what do I do? I'm gonna be so bored. Whereas I understand that, I agree, yet at the same time, I genuinely, I feel like I have so many things that I want and have to do that I'm like, I don't have enough time, even though I'm, like, literally sitting at home all day. Yeah. And so I think that's just, like, a part of my essence. Is like, I don't have enough time.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
But once school is over, then I feel like it's gonna be a lot better because I can do whatever I want with the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so I know you very well, so I feel like I can guess a few of your answers to this question. But talk about somebody like that inspires you artistically or whatever. It can be celebrity, a singer, a playwright, an author, whatever. Just a family friend, literally anything. Just people who inspire you to do what you do.
Honestly, in a very broad way, anyone who's passionate about what they're doing, whether it's in the field of art or not, it makes me happy to see people being passionate about what they do. Mm-hmm. So, like, that is a general category. Like, I couldn't really care less about math, but if somebody's really passionate about math and they want to tell me why something is cool, like, I will listen. However, artistic inspiration is, I saw over the summer, before going into fall of this year, so fall of 2019, I saw What the Constitution Means to Me on Broadway in New York, and that show, wow, did it just change my perception of theater in a way that it hadn't before, because it really just, like, she took theater and put it into a format I'd never seen before by doing a one-woman show, and everybody, like, jokes, like, one-woman show, but, like, that was basically a one-woman show. It was incredible. She shared, like, her full self with us, and she talked about the Constitution and, like, not only what it means for her, but, like, for the world. And just, yeah, that. So that inspired me a lot, and that kind of launched me into, like, a really good semester of creativity, as you know. Directing John Proctor's The Villain for Out of the Box, Kimberly Bellflower, the playwright. She's a huge inspiration for me because I follow her on social media, and like I read that play and I was like, wow, this person is a genius.
Yeah.
And then she is a genius, but like I got to know her through like emailing her and social media, and I was like, wow, she's like not even 10 years older than me, and like very cool, very wise, and also just like trying to make it through life like we are. And so it was nice to see some less, like I got like, you know, What the Constitution Means to Me, Heidi Schreck, like, you know, she's like really cool and amazing and wonderful. And then like I got this like up close and personal experience with Kimberly Bellflower, who is just like a real person.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so like playwrights and creators can exist. I was just so shocked at how young she was.
Yeah.
And like how she's still trying to make it in the world, and then she wrote something that like changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are two of my inspirations. Also, big fan of Rachel Chavkin, director of Hadestown. That Tony speech, you know what I mean? So there's that.
Oh, I love it. And obviously we're gonna get to talking about your experience directing, because that was what a lot of the fans asked in our question thing. But I wanted to go ahead and ask you about like an artistic moment in your career so far as a theater major that has stood out to you, that you've been proud of, that you just look back on and you're like, I enjoyed that.
Should I wait to talk about John Proctor? Because like that's the one, but like I can also like talk about other inspirational moments.
Okay, well, I'll just jump into these fan questions then, because people were asking for you to talk about your process directing John Proctor, and also your process being involved in Next Fall as well, because those were two very prominent shows that you were involved in.
Honestly, if we want to talk about an artistic moment that fulfilled me prior to John Proctor, that is like huge for me. And I almost feel like it's such a blur, but it was so idyllic. Like those people were always so willing to work and listen. And like Luke and I are very different people. And I don't think going into like just meeting him that I would think he is someone I would work with perfectly, not because I don't love him, but because he's just we're very different people.
Yeah.
He's very much like laid back, chill, whatever happens.
On the show, so everyone will get to meet him.
Incredible. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. Like you could be like, Luke, what are you doing in quarantine? And he'll be like, yeah, I just did this today. And he'll like give you like a 5-word answer. And I gave you like a 20-minute expose on my like very amateur art. Whereas Luke is just like so chill and roll with it. So we really balanced each other out, and it was honestly, I learned so much by watching him watch them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you said you had questions, but that was a big artistic inspiration or moment of fulfillment. But also, just if we want to talk about something completely non-directing related before we jump into that, like honestly, when I worked at, I've had a job at National Student Leadership Conference,
Mm-hmm.
and they have many different programs for students like interested in leadership, but also like career specific ones. And so I worked at the acting intensive, and the students there were just so inspiring and wonderful. And like I think I look back on my high school theater self very jaded, because I went through the college audition process, and now I'm all like, you know, like high school. But like they were so pumped about theater and learning, and like I don't know, they were just so wonderful to work with. And that was so fulfilling, because not only did I get to like get to know these people, and it didn't really feel all the time like I was always, I had, you know, some control because I was their team advisor, but they taught me so much and reminded me about why I do theater, and they had like outlooks on life that I'd never experienced before. And so that was very fulfilling, because being around them like made me the best version of myself at that point in my life that I'd ever been. and it was such a supportive environment with the staff. So that was both like life fulfilling, but also artistically fulfilling, because they created a show, like, and we were not allowed to really help them. Like, we had guidelines and we were allowed to help to some extent, but like that was part of the challenge.
Yeah.
And the leadership aspect of it is like, they could ask us questions, but we were not supposed to like jump in and be like, you know what would be good here in this scene and solve all your problems. Like, even if we saw an easy loophole for them to solve their like fights among themselves about one scene or another. Fight sounds very like it was a huge problem, but it wasn't. But like, I was not allowed to step in moments, and just watching them be creative and work around things, I was just like, wow. Because that was after freshman year, and freshman year was a hard year, like no matter what. And that was a time in my life where I was like, am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing? And they told me yes without saying yes, you know? So.
Absolutely. Well, okay, so like I was saying, a bunch of people were asking about your process directing. So tell me all about it.
I can't wait. So I could talk forever on this.
Because I know nothing about it.
You know nothing about it. Haha, joke is that Madison was my stage manager, if you didn't know. Just because I know all of you people out there are totally not OCU students, and you know nothing about this. Anyway, what about it? I could say so many things about this show.
Say them. What was your experience? What were your takeaways? What would you have done differently? Everything.
I will start with the fact that I got this script from Simone Gomez, who showed it to me through New Play Exchange. And so already, like, huge shout out to him, because he like handed me a dream that I didn't know I had. So big fan of that boy. It was just the most artistically fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life, and I can't help but just like beam when I talk about it, because it was truly like one of the coolest things I've ever done. Because one, I went into it being like, okay, I just assistant directed 3 shows and was interning for Kate and Greg, all in the same semester. And so I was like, okay, I have all this experience, but I've never actually directed a show myself. So do I really know what I'm doing? Like, I really went into it, I was like, this is funny. Wait, can I do this? And it's so, I remember going into callbacks and just thinking like, how do I run callbacks? How does this work? What am I doing? Yeah. And then like, when everybody came in for the top of callbacks, and I had them just kind of like breathe and center themselves in the space, and I read them quotes from the show, I was like, wait, okay, so I have some instincts for this. And basically, it just gave me that huge, one, confidence boost that I can trust myself in a way that I never knew I could, 1. And 2, it really kind of like put together some major puzzle pieces in my life. Like, I love theater, and I do really love performing, and I love working with performers just like in general. So like, as I said, that leadership job that I worked at, like working with those students was awesome. And so like, I love collaborating, I love theater, I love leadership, and it just made sense. Yeah. Like, directing that show just made sense. Mm-hmm. And like, the thing about it that I think was so unique is that, one, we all got to this really great understanding with each other of honesty and trust. And I definitely can say with confidence that we don't all come from similar belief systems. And I think that can either like make or break a group, is like that kind of situation can be really difficult. And for our group, I think we really just laid the foundation that like honesty, trust, support, no matter what, throughout the whole process. And everyone had like a breakthrough moment. Like, I think that was maybe one of my favorite things about directing, is that I got to watch people have an aha moment.
Yeah.
And like, I had the privilege of being a part of that process for them. And I don't want to speak for them when I say that, like, maybe I'm wrong, but I definitely feel like I was watching people. What you got there?
Fly in front of me. Sorry.
That was great. I loved it. Yeah, I just got to watch people like kind of come to big realizations, and I don't know, it's a lot harder to find your own. Here, I'll do it with you to make you feel better.
There's a bug right there.
Is it a fly?
Yes. Okay, sorry, continue. Restart that sentence.
Why do they exist?
I don't know.
Thought. I'm sure there's a good biological reason as to why they're important to our ecosystem. However, they really are a nuisance.
Yes.
Because I want to open my windows, but I'm scared that they're all gonna come flying in.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was I saying?
I'm so sorry.
So basically, yeah, I think one of the biggest takeaways was being able to, it was a privilege to be a part of that growth. Oh, this is what it was. Okay, what I was saying is I don't feel like when I'm acting, I can really see my growth until I'm miles away from it. So like when we hit like mid-summer after sophomore year, I started to maybe kind of like understand the growth of my first 2 years of college, maybe just a little bit. But even so, like, I just think it's so much harder. Like, I acknowledge that I've grown and I have changed and I'm proud of who I am, blah, blah, blah. But like, it's so much harder when you're in the thick of it to, for me at least, see how much I have grown and changed and learned, especially in a rehearsal process when it's so condensed. So to get to sit back and watch people grow and to be like, no, wait, that was amazing. Do you know how much of a genius you are? Like, I was just like, because you think about how many times you've like made a choice in a rehearsal and been like, that was dumb. I didn't really change all that much. Was that really even a choice? But like, I feel like everything that they did was like revolutionary, and not that people didn't have issues, but I never felt like there was a block there. Whereas I feel like sometimes in the past with directors, I've always been like, afraid to ask something or try something or say something because I don't want to look dumb or stupid. I just didn't feel that from anyone. And if they did feel that way, they were honest about it.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest takeaway is like ensemble. Before anything else, building the group, the community, it's a team sport. Like theater is a team sport. It's a collaborative group community effort. And if you don't have that, I don't know how you do a show. And obviously everybody becomes a community within working on a show, but I think it's to what extent do you build that community that makes a difference.
And I think with that show too, like, I always thought back on it as like that show really had something to offer for everybody that was involved in it. And I think like if you were to ask each cast member, you know, like what part of this script are you so passionate about, because everyone was so like fully committed to the script, you know, it could be a different answer for every single one of them because it just had so much to offer for all kinds of people.
For everyone. And I also think that it's so hard when we're doing, especially university theater, we tend to do a lot of stuff that, although they want to stay in our age range, that pushes us out of maybe what we would either normally play or could at our age, you know. And I think just to do something that feels really close to home, like the most amount of years that we are out of high school when we were working on that show was 4. Like, it is all in our present memory, if not our deep subconscious that we pushed away when we got into college.
Yes.
And so I think there was just a huge amount of nostalgia attached to the show about high school and just like figuring out things as you go along. And I don't think that I saw high school as that huge like self-discovery process that everyone says it is. But then when working on the show, it was like, yeah, okay, I mean, anything pre-9th grade was just like baby, right? Like
Yes.
fetal years. 8th grade, I had no personality. What are you talking about? So I think there was huge nostalgia in it too. Like people just had something to connect with, and I just think that script is so good. It's so genius. And something I loved about it is that there really was no. It's so clever. We talked about this in rehearsal, so you'll remember. But like, John Proctor is the villain, is the title. So we're talking about, you know, who's the villain, who's the bad guy. There were no bad guys in this show. Like everybody has. That's the thing that I love about it, is every character is lovable for one reason or another, and every character has issues. And like, even if they're not central to the plot, you'll be like, she just said that. I don't know if that's cool to say. You know what I mean? So it shows how much growing everyone had to do, and there was no person who was like fully in the wrong or in the right. But a full discussion, and if you want to have it with me, we can talk about it. But I think it's hard to talk about that aspect, you know, because you want to say that Mr. Smith is ultimately the bad guy, but it's really hard to say that.
It is. Yeah, because it humanizes them so much.
Yeah. So well done. Just big love to Kimberly Belfar.
Obviously, you did it incredibly.
Thanks.
So, for our portion of asking the fans, I'm going to read off some questions and see where we go with them. Oh, a big question that I got in addition to your directing experience was people wanted to know about your time studying abroad.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Yeah. Okay, here's the like basic truth about my study abroad experience. I am so grateful and I am so lucky that I can talk about the goods in a minute, but I'm just gonna like lay out the like very honest truth, is that it was cut off so early, and I know that feels like I got full 2 months. I literally left on March 21st, which was the exact day 2 months prior that I left St. Louis. So I was there a singular like day short of 2 months. But although so much happened within those 2 months, I was really just gaining momentum and getting started. So there is like some grief in that and some frustration, because a lot of what I did to help myself early on was budget and plan for the things that were my top priorities, which were spring break and May, because technically my classes were supposed to end like before the first week of May, except for one of them. Like my class load was super chill. I was only in 3 classes, and like really I had so much time to travel, and I could have done weekend traveling a lot more than I did, because I had Friday through Monday off. I didn't have class on Friday, I didn't have class on Monday, so I literally had like 4-day window, and I didn't have class on Tuesday until 2, so I had so much time. However, I planned most of my traveling for the second half of the semester, because that's when spring break was, and I wanted to make sure that I had the money that I needed to be able to visit my top choices in that time, as well as May through June, because June was when my contract with housing ended, June 6th. And so I was basically like, let's say, because the latest my semester was supposed to go on would have been like May 5th or 6th. That's an entire month that I could have used to travel. So I was really like trying to save and trying to be smart. And so like in the long run, I did not leave England at all. I went to Bath, which was, I mean, like honestly, the best days of my trip probably were in Bath. And I did do a solo trip, which was Bath, because that was one of my big things. And I was going to do another one, but obviously it didn't happen. But like, I'm really glad that I hit that, because I wanted to do something alone. And then I went up to Edge Hill University to see Olivia White, which was awesome. And at that point, we'd been there long enough that we like felt settled, but also like really needed someone familiar.
Yeah.
And I had my OCU girls there, but it was just like such a relief to be so close to someone who knew me so well. So those two trips were awesome. But basically, I had a big trip to Italy planned, which that was canceled in the time that I was still in London, because Italy shut down way earlier than London did. And then Spain and Portugal was supposed to happen over spring break. And the week before I left, I was also, when I left, I was a week away from starting my big trips, besides Italy, which was canceled, was Dublin and Nice, France. I had 2 weekend trips back to back planned. And then I had the entirety of May to do anything I didn't do, which basically my plan was to do like maybe a week or so in like Scotland and then come back to campus, and then from there do like this. I basically planned like a European tour trip, which it was supposed to be like, because of the way travel works there, it's so easy to get around. I was gonna do like Copenhagen, Brussels, Budapest, Berlin, all the B's.
Yeah.
In May. So I was really trying to be smart. And so the hard thing is that like what I thought was going to help me kind of hurt me in the long run.
Yeah.
However, with all of that said, I did not do basically any of the big things that I wanted to do, but I got settled at Roehampton in those first 2 months. I made really great, wonderful friends. I spent a lot of time alone and a lot of time not doing a lot. As I said, I only had 3 classes, and though they were very, like, some of them, particularly one of them, was very rigorous.
Mm-hmm.
However, in the long run, I got to spend a lot of time alone with free time. And so I would go into the center of London, central London alone. I saw so many shows. That's like my biggest takeaway was like, that was the coolest part about being on a campus so close to central London, was being able to like leave after class for a show and be back like within an hour after the show.
Yeah.
So it was lovely. I have so much more to see in Europe, but I think the biggest things I am grateful for are the community at Roehampton. Just like OCU is so small, and so I kind of like got this second chance at like the typical college experience with a bigger campus, like big trees, you know, that are more than 6 years old. You know what I mean? And they had 2 lakes on campus. Like, it was just beautiful. So I really got that, and I got the benefit of the people. And like, I think my classwork was a huge shift, because most of my classwork was like reading. Like, it's very like theory based over there. So I think it was a big change for me. Also, just like academically, it was a break because I had so little classwork, but at the same time, like the type of classwork I was doing was really different. And so I learned a lot, especially one of my classes was about race and representation in theater. And like that class, I mean, it's something that has always been in the forefront of my thoughts, just like race and representation and inclusion in theater. And this class hit everything for me, and it's still hitting everything for me, and it's really teaching me so much. So I'm grateful for a lot of things too.
Yeah. Well, yay. That's good. I'm glad that you...
a beret.
What?
I bought a beret, but not in Paris.
Where did you buy it from?
In Bath.
Mm-hmm.
I also got this jacket that I'm wearing right now.
Really cute.
Thank you. I'm gonna take it off now because I'm sweating.
That's okay. We had our pink moment for the Madison show.
I just wanted the intro, you know, to happen, and then it to be me in a pink shirt.
If you could relive a year of your life, what year would you choose and why?
Okay, I have maybe 2 options. The first is my senior year of high school, and I can't believe I'm saying that because it was actually a horrid year. It was so bad. Because I was auditioning for colleges, I was such a mess, and I was so sad basically all the time. And like, some of my favorite high school memories come from senior year, because like the highs were high and the lows were low. But I think I would go back to my senior year to one, just I don't know if I'm allowed to go back and like relive it with some knowledge and confidence that I've gained in my later life, but I think that I would really just care a whole lot less about doing well at everything, you know, doing a good job everywhere, and like having a good time being in high school. Like, honestly, because that, you know, the movie Booksmart, have you seen it yet? That is, I was like, oh my God, this is my high school experience, because it was basically me just like being a nerd, was that me or you? I'm so sorry. High school was basically me like trying to do well at everything, and I had a great time a lot of the time, but also I did not leave enough room for me to be a high school student. So I would go back to senior year. But I could also definitely go back to just the year of 2019. Can't believe I'm saying that. But I had the entirety of like directing happened for me in 2019. We started with Next Fall, we ended with John Proctor. So many amazing people came into my life in 2019. I had a summer that was not what I planned for myself, and it was really like enlightening. So just a lot of personal growth happened in 2019, and if I could go back and maybe like take more pictures and like write things down a little bit more, I totally would. Also had Kate Brennan's iconic vocal prod class in 2019, so just like going back to that class and watching myself cry again during my manifesto, that would be fun.
Yeah. Here we go. Here's a fun one. Your favorite shows and snacks during quarantine.
Okay. So I watched Big Little Lies for the first time.
That is a great show.
It is a great show. It was such a wild ride. I think
it's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot, and I definitely recommend it. However, it was taxing. And like it was one of those shows where like I'm finishing Euphoria right now. Even more taxing to me. That show is wow. I don't know. I would recommend it like to an extent.
Yeah.
Depending on who you are. But I don't know. It's a lot for me. And
we're in such weird times too. Like I don't know if now is the time to be watching these like.
Right, exactly. Just like, okay, this is a cute and funny story about my last week in London. So basically, when Roehampton was like, all online classes, or all classes are going online, people started moving out of the dorms because they're just going home, like one would, because it didn't coincide with spring break, because London is different in schedule. So everyone was still there. They started packing up. They started leaving. There was one other study abroad student in my hallway flat, according to them, and she left before I did. So by like Wednesday of the week that was announced, when it was announced on Sunday, everyone in my flat was gone. I was the only one left, and I live on the first floor. As a female, I just don't want to live on the first floor, personally. Like, it was great because all the parties happened upstairs, so I was farthest from the noise, but you know, intruders, being on the first floor, you're just the most vulnerable. It's just, you know, I have no comfort in that. Yeah. However, I didn't think about that. When I watched Unbelievable on Netflix, have you seen it? Mm-hmm. It's basically a detective show about a serial rapist. And I watched it, the entire thing. It's a great show. I loved it. I was genuinely so good. And past the first episode, like, we established how bad things were and, like, the general, like, this is about rape. And the rest of it was, though obviously that's very much important to the show, it was less graphic, I would say, than the first episode. But every night I would go to bed and just be like, why did I watch that? I'm the only one in this flat. If I scream, no one will hear me. Like, I was just like tossing and turning these thoughts around in my head before I went to bed, and I was just like, okay, so note to self, we watch these things during the day and when you have neighbors. But Euphoria, Big Little Lies are the things I've been watching. Obviously Tiger King. But if I'm going to recommend anything, if you've never seen the TV show Psych, it is truly just joyous and hilarious and dumb. But there's enough of a plot to make you interested in the characters. And it's great. Also, if you're really wanting to go on a journey, I'm one of those Downton Abbey girls, all right? You know what? I'll say
I'm
it.
not a big Downton Abbey lady, so is my
mom. Downton Abbey. And so that's a journey to go. Like, if you have time to kill, that's a good one. Snack-wise, look, it's Passover still, so I'm not eating bread. So I'm eating a lot of this morning I made myself a smoothie bowl. I'm eating a lot of popcorn because that's not risen bread.
Yeah.
Fruits and vegetables. However, if we're gonna talk about like real like snack material post Passover, I mean, I just really can't wait to eat pizza again.
Yeah.
That's the truth. But I've been eating a lot of matzo ball soup, matzo crack. Anyone who's been to an OCU Jewish Stars Passover event will know what matzo crack is, and it's the delicious, yummy bark that's like buttery and caramely and just
so good.
Cecilia Teddy for that recipe.
Okay, now I have a fun segment.
Oh my god, I can't wait. I've been so excited about this.
Not like that exciting because we're like talking, but it involves a cup.
But I can't touch the cup.
No, there's stuff in there.
Oh my god.
It's called Top 10, and I pull out a category of here, and you have to list your top 10.
Okay. I like it.
All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Celebrities.
Okay, some of these are gonna be me being a Broadway nerd. Sutton Foster. Okay, somebody asked what's on my Instagram Explore page today, and Greta Gerwig, Saoirse Ronan, Timothée Chalamet. Look, Meryl Streep, you gotta say it.
Oh, of course.
Let me think. Okay, I like Amy Adams a lot. It's not like I really like watch a lot of her stuff, yeah. But like anytime she's in something, I'm like, thank God, it's Amy Adams. Lisi, try harder. Kristen Wiig. I can just go ahead and name the rest of the SNL women. Kate McKinnon, John Mulaney, and I've been in a real big John Mulaney fan. Mm-hmm. Tig Notaro.
You left out one crucial person. Or people.
What does it have to do with?
Music.
Is it somebody
starts
that
with F and ends with Lawrence?
Wait, it starts with F
and ends with Lawrence.
Oh, Florence Welch. Yes, and Maggie Rogers. But like I guess I don't I guess I really just thought of actors, didn't I? Well, Florence Welch. And I was waiting to meet her.
I'm like, no, Lisi, your own choices are wrong.
You're right. Yeah. Cut Amy Adams. Like, Florence, obviously. And then if I have to put someone in.
I hope Amy Adams is watching this and she's like.
Well, I'm sorry, Amy. I don't know where I would put Maggie. I don't know who I would cut. Probably Tig Notaro, but that's really sad because I love Tig Notaro. All right, there's that.
Nice. That was good. If you could write a book right now, what would your book be about?
What would my book be about? About self-worth and why the arts are important.
Nice. What's the thing you missed most about OCU besides your community? Like, when you were gone?
Old school bagel. Old school bagel!
Me too.
Honestly, if there was one thing that I thought about Oklahoma every day, other than the people, which honestly I might have thought about Old School Bagel more, it's Old School Bagel. Like, I would wake up and be like, you know what I really wish that I could pop down the road and get right now? A bagel from Old School Bagel. And then when I got back to the US, my mom or my stepdad, they both brought me things into the apartment and like stocked the fridge. And one of the things I asked for was bagels. It's just not the same.
Not the same.
I just need an Old School Bagel. So that's really sad. And they're doing delivery. How do I know that? Because I looked. And I'm just sad that I'm not in Oklahoma City to have them delivered to me. Yeah. I know.
Well, I love you.
I love you too. I don't want to say goodbye.
Thanks for being on my show.
Thanks for having me on your show.
Oh my God, of course. This is great guest to have on my show because most people don't talk very much, you know?
Yeah, I was scared I talked too much.
No. Hey, bye, Lisi. Thank you so much for being on the show.
And thanks for having me on the Madison
And
show.
everyone follow Lisi on Instagram.
Yeah, Lise.lev.
Yes.
Also, go follow the Jewish Stars and Out of the Box on it.
Yes. I'll tag him below.
Gotta rep my brands.
Love you.
Everyone.